Today we've got setups for SEI, DCR, SOPH and XMR Monero, plus a meme coin play that I think you might like. So let's jump in. Hi, this is Paul with ArcisFX. Stick around to the end as we have an interesting DOGE long setup. But first up is SEI USDT daily, where we have a possible double bottom forming. This is the October crash, and now the price action looks like it's revisiting this bottom level where we bounced from in April, which is around 0.1333. So you've got a potential long entry here right at support, and of course if you do want to wait for additional confirmation, you have the neckline as well here at around 0.3607, which you could wait for a confirmed break. But of course this is a nice move to trade off potentially, but coming in for a support entry here would be very manageable. But if you're looking for a slightly more short-term play, let's just zoom in. So this is SEI USDT 2-hour chart. You can see this is the second part of the double bottom here, just for reference. So we're essentially looking at this area here, and we've got this descending channel with the 200 MA on the 2-hour, not particularly significant, but coming in fast overhead. And over the last few hours we have broken out of this channel, so we do have this nice horizontal support line where the price action was bouncing off in the pattern despite temporarily losing it, and that level is around 0.1452. So the first most obvious entry point here following this breakout would be a retest of this level here, and then hope we get a move up from there. Now the premise of these trades this week are largely to do with whether we get a bounce from Bitcoin and its current support levels of 89k, and of course if Bitcoin descends lower from here, SEI as an example will start coming down to this lower support level we were just discussing at 133. Again, just a reference, that's just this level here. But if the market does move, of course we just need bullish confirmation to trade SEI and then come in at the most logical place. So we have had a breakout, so coming in for the retest here would make sense. But if Bitcoin loses 89k, you may want to wait for a lower level entry. But a couple of options for SEI on the higher time frame here, the daily chart with potentially a support buy, or if you're looking to just front run a little bit, you've got this channel which the price action is currently breaking out of, which you can try and catch an entry again at 1452. Next up we have a fresh setup for DCR. We were looking at DCR last week, but this is a slightly improved setup based on the most recent price action. We've had this triangle pattern which has been in place since the start of this month. Just a reminder, this is the 2-hour chart, and the price action has since broken above this, struggled to get above this 618, which is kind of the premise of the setup we were looking at last week, and has now come back down to retest essentially the tip of this triangle pattern, which is essentially at 0.272, which is around $29 to $30. And you can see here we are kind of ranging a little bit at this lower level, and it looks like we may get a tap again of the 272 between about 29 and 30. So that would be your ideal entrance for a retest entry here. And you can see here's the long position tool and potentially taking profits at where the peak of the triangle was at around the 1.272. Now the 272 is quite significant support here at the moment, but you need to bear in mind of course the context for Bitcoin. So if you're looking for an entrance here at around the $29, $30 mark, then you need to make sure of course Bitcoin is still maintaining 89k, so we can have a nice premise for a bounce here, because obviously if Bitcoin goes up, so will DCR, as Bitcoin essentially is the leader of the pack in this respect. So context is very important here, so make sure you've checked out Bitcoin update from early in the week just to make sure you understand the context of the market at the moment. But DCR, nice manageable entrance between around 30 and 29, just above the 2.72, following a breakout of this symmetrical triangle.
Hi there, I'm James. I'm the founder of ArcisFX. I'd like to personally invite you to join our 24/7 trading group. This is built for traders who want an edge. Inside, you'll get access to live calls on Forex, commodities, crypto, energies, and metals, along with exclusive daily analysis designed to unlock your trading potential. And this in both traditional and now in digital markets. I'm talking Bitcoin, crypto, altcoins, and tethered currencies. You'll gain early access to insider news, real-time updates, real-time support, and premium educational content. If you want to sharpen your skills and boost your success rate, then join me and Paul in this community. This is a fast-growing community of traders who are now writing their own success stories. So don't wait. Join up now. Your edge starts right here.
Next up, we've got SOPH on USDT 1-hour chart, and again we've had this very strong downtrend, and it's trying to find its feet. The 50 moving average on this time frame was acting as lovely confluence, and it is currently supporting the price action. And if we just zoom in, you can see how flush it is at the moment. It's essentially following the price action's breakout. Now we did have this diagonal line here, which you can see the price action has struggled to hold, following a retest on the flip side of this diagonal support line. So this could be acting as resistance now, so be very mindful of its existence. But nonetheless, we've had the tap of the diagonal trend line. This is clearly the most logical place to come in for a long trade here at horizontal support. But of course there are a few additional levels which you need to be paying attention to, and depending of course on how bullish Bitcoin is, then the price action could potentially dip a little bit further. So this may be a scaling in trade, so you can potentially look to scale in here at around 0.01755, which is essentially trying to confirm this flip of this horizontal previous resistance line. But then, of course, if Bitcoin does struggle and the market continues to suffer from bearish pressure, then you can look to maybe scoop up a second position here at around 1729, just below, with the intention of hoping to scoop up that reversal and then move up from there. Now, of course, you can trade this any way you see fit, but it's very important to recognize that when the market is hesitant, that even though we want to benefit from these lower prices and the potential of a move from a downtrend to an uptrend, we have to be very cautious. And bearing in mind, of course, the price action hasn't managed to hold this relatively unimportant diagonal support line, you can see that the potential to retest some of these lower levels for an entrance may be in play. So be very mindful here, but this looks like a good setup to scale into and hopefully kind of scoop up the price action, maybe like this. But bear in mind, of course, if the price action does descend below 0.01703, then that will be total invalidation for this bullish play, and you have to throw this setup in the trash. So 0.01703 is the invalidation line, the lowest possible entrance you could be looking for a bullish move from here, but ideally coming in at 1755 and then maybe coming in another position if we get a dip lower to 1729 would hopefully give you then a nice low average price for if and when Bitcoin makes a move, which could of course carry this upwards. But caution here with SOPH. But just a reminder, these setups are hand-picked coins and tokens with real trading potential based on technical analysis and probabilities, available on both centralized and decentralized exchanges. The altcoin market of course follows Bitcoin's direction, very important point to make at the moment, so don't miss context, and of course make sure you subscribe to catch our latest Bitcoin update video for the full picture before you trade. And next up we have XMR USDT daily, OG privacy token Monero. Now we're in a very nice solid uptrend at the moment on the daily chart, and we've just busted through this previous resistance area. If you consider this the consolidation range, this is just the range you've broken into, and we've now moved up to the next one. Now there's a couple of plays here. Now the first one of course will be to come in essentially where we are now, which is a retest to confirm the SR flip following a strong break above this previous swing high. So essentially we're looking for a retest entry as close as we can to around the 618, which is around $357, which is pretty much where we are at the moment. Currently the price action sitting at 367, and then hope for a move up from there. Or if you want some bullish confirmation, you're a bit worried about Bitcoin, then of course you could wait for a break of this upper resistance line again for additional confirmation, and you could potentially come on here for this flip. But honestly, I don't want you to be entering this when a Monero is too overextended, so I would suggest waiting for a support entry here. Now there are a few diagonal lines to pay attention to as well to find some nice little pockets. See here, if we just put this on here, it's just very roughly, so just do your own work on this one. This diagonal line is helping provide a little bit of confidence for coming into the support area. So for example, on Friday the 5th of December is a really nice pocket to come in on it, flush with 357 with this diagonal support confidence as well. So you've got a little bit of support, and you could use this diagonal line as an invalidation line. So if you are looking to make an entrance here with Monero and it does break lower, so you get something like this and then you look to carry on from there. But if you do get the entrance from here and it heads lower, then you've got a very straightforward line in the sand for invalidation, and you could look to exit your trade position at this level. So there are some subtle confluences here. We should be looking at this with a little bit of confidence because we have this higher high here. When we do see these moves break out into upper ranges, then of course that is a nice confirmation signal for bulls to try and enter on the pullback, and this is exactly where we are now. So look for a nice flush entrance with the 618 at around 357 with this diagonal support line potentially acting as the invalidation line in case downwards pressure in the market continues. Also, it's always important to just check in with some of the moving averages. As we can see, they're very supportive right now of the price action, all pretty much in the right order, all flush with this diagonal support line. So quite a lot of confluence here, and because this is a daily chart and because we've got the 200 MA as well coming in, and that's quite a lot of support for a potential further move upwards from here. But XMR looking pretty good. And finally, as promised, here is DOGE USDT 2 hour. Now we had a short play for DOGE last week, which is kind of playing out, but there is the potential for a reversal here. Now the first thing I want to highlight with DOGE is that we do have a potential double bottom, but also the second bottom, principally speaking, is a lower low. And also you can see the price action is not giving us trend-based confirmation yet. So even though we've had this downwards channel, we have broken out of this pattern. DOGE has really struggled to hold this level, and you can see we've had this little dip all the way back down to around 0.147, which of course is much lower than the initial part of the double bottom. So caution here, because this setup is essentially trying to enter before we've had trend-based confirmation. But the idea would be that since we've had a breakout of this pattern, even though it's struggling a little bit, the idea would be to try and come in at around 0.154 to try and catch a reversal from Bitcoin. So that would be something like that, trying to catch the reversal here. And the premise, of course, is we've had this breakout. The trend is trying to change, but it isn't yet. So that would be the first first thing. But again, we've been talking about scaling in today, and I would suggest, of course, that if you are looking to enter Doge, because we haven't had trend range confirmation, you could look for a small position there at around 0.154, and then look to come in again at support to again scoop that up. But some of you may prefer to wait for a higher high first or a higher low first before entering, and that may save you entering these trades with the probabilities not necessarily in your favor. So what you could do is you could wait for a dip down here, wait for that confirmed higher low, and then look for another entrance following that. So there's a couple of plays here, but caution is advised. Now, of course, there is more potential downside for Dogecoin, but because Bitcoin is at significant support, if Bitcoin does move up from there, then it will bring Dogecoin up as well, and it might be a nice little range play from where we are now to essentially around 0.184 for a quick tidy 20% or so. But of course, we need to adapt our entrances based on what we're seeing from the price action. And whereas with XMR, which is in a clear definable uptrend, with the last move being a higher high, which is a bullish signal, Dogecoin hasn't given us any of those basic trend signals just yet. So this is definitely a front-running play on the presumption that we might move up from here. So adjust your strategy appropriately and trade Doge with that in mind. Smaller positions, but very Bitcoin dependent, that one. And of course, just a reminder, we were last at this take profit price point of around 0.184 just 10 days ago. So it shows the potential here. And if we do go back, we are pretty much at points where we've previously bounced from as well. So that's the idea, that's the premise. But for more winning setups like this, please consider subscribing and also hit that like button and let us know in the comments what altcoins you're thinking of trading. We also have a private group you can join that posts charts like this throughout the week. There's many more I couldn't fit in this video. But that's it for now. Catch you tomorrow for my weekly live stream where you can ask me questions about any of the coins or tokens you're thinking of trading. Hope to see you there.